The shelter smelled like disinfectant and wet concrete. Jake had learned to tune it out after 3 months of volunteering every weekend. The barking, the smell, the sound of metal bowls scraping against kennel floors. He didn't mind any of it. He showed up because somebody had to. He was halfway through the morning feeding run when the front door burst open. A woman walked in like she owned the place. Mid-40s, jaw tight, eyes already scanning the kennels. She didn't say hello to anyone. She walked straight to Kennel 7, grabbed the leash hanging on the door hook, and slammed it down on the front desk so hard that Jake's coffee jumped. "Take this thing back. I don't want him. I hate him." The room went silent. One of the shelter workers, Maria, took a slow breath and asked calmly what the problem was. The woman turned around, arms crossed. "We got him to be a protection dog. That's the only reason. He's a Presa Canario, 180 pounds. He's supposed to be intimidating, but he does nothing. Nothing. The neighbor's cat walks into our yard and he rolls over and lets it sit on him. My husband's business partner comes to the door and this dog tries to climb into the ma'am's lap. He has zero protective instinct. He's completely useless." She didn't wait for a response. She walked out. The doors swung shut behind her. Nobody moved for a moment. Jake looked at Kennel 7. Inside, a 180-pound brindle Presa Canario sat perfectly still, watching the door she had just walked out of. No barking, no whimpering, just those dark amber eyes, steady and quiet, like he'd seen this kind of thing before. The tag on his kennel said one word: Tiger. The days passed. Jake kept showing up. He asked about Tiger every single time. Maria's answer was always the same: still here, still waiting. What Jake didn't say out loud, what he'd overheard in the break room, was that Tiger had been flagged. Presa Canarios were on a restricted breed list in 2 counties over. A transfer request had already been submitted. Once that paperwork cleared, Tiger wouldn't be going to another family. He'd be going to a facility with a much shorter timeline. Jake drove home that night and sat in his kitchen for a long time. He didn't have a fenced yard, he lived alone, he worked long hours. Every logical reason said no. He called Maria at 8 a.m. the next morning. "I want to foster him." She didn't even hesitate. "I'll have the paperwork ready by noon." Here is what Jake expected: a dog that needed careful management, a dog he'd have to watch constantly, a dog that would test every boundary. Here is what he got instead. Tiger walked into Jake's house, sniffed every corner of every room in a slow, deliberate loop, and then sat down in the middle of the living room like he had always lived there. That first night, he slept on the floor beside Jake's bed, completely still, not making a sound. The neighbor's tabby cat, Mrs. Henderson's cat, discovered Tiger within 48 hours. She walked through a gap in the fence, crossed the yard like she owned it, and sat directly in front of Tiger's face. Tiger sniffed her once, then he licked the top of her head. Jake stood at the back door and stared. "You are got to be kidding me." A week later, Jake's coworker Danny came over for dinner. Danny was 6'2", loud, and walked in talking before he even got through the door. Tiger bounded over to him like a golden retriever who had just been reunited with his best friend after years apart. He put both front paws on Danny's chest and tried to lick his face. Danny, to his credit, laughed. "This is your protection dog?" Jake pointed at him. "Don't start." "I see you still haven't subscribed. Honestly, that breaks my heart a little. Hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next." Three weeks in, Jake had stopped thinking of Tiger as a foster. He just thought of him as Tiger. They had a routine: morning walk at 6, a long loop through the park and back. Evening walk after dinner, quieter streets, darker sky. Tiger walked close, not pulling, not lagging, just close, like he was keeping track. Jake noticed the way Tiger moved at night, different from the daytime. During the day, he was loose, easy, almost goofy. At night, something shifted. His head came up a little higher, his eyes moved more. He was still calm, still relaxed, but he was paying attention in a way that was harder to explain. Jake told himself it didn't mean anything. It was a Tuesday, late October, cold enough that Jake had pulled on a jacket before heading out for the evening walk. The neighborhood was quiet, just wind and distant traffic and the sound of their footsteps on the sidewalk. They were 2 blocks from home when Jake heard it. Footsteps, fast, behind them. He turned his head just as a figure in a dark hoodie came around the corner at full stride, moving directly toward them with no sign of slowing down. What happened next took less than 3 seconds. Tiger didn't bark first, he didn't growl first, he simply moved, one fluid step forward, planting his 180-pound frame directly between Jake and the figure, and then the bark came. It didn't sound like a dog, it sounded like something ancient and enormous warning the world to stop moving. The figure stopped. Tiger held his ground, every muscle locked, that massive brindled chest forward, ears up. The bark had dropped into a low, continuous sound that seemed to come from somewhere beneath the street. Jake grabbed the leash with both hands and pulled. Tiger moved with him, but slowly, still watching, still tracking the figure, until they had turned the corner and the footsteps behind them had gone completely silent. Half a block later, Jake's hands were still shaking. Tiger looked up at him and wagged his tail twice. Jake stopped walking. He looked down at this dog, this useless, instinct-free, cat-kissing, coworker-climbing dog, and let out a long breath that was somewhere between a laugh and complete disbelief. "What was that?" he said. Tiger sat down and leaned against Jake's leg. Jake never did complete the foster paperwork. He completed the adoption paperwork instead. Tiger still licks Mrs. Henderson's cat. He still tries to sit in Danny's lap during dinner. He still thinks every stranger at the door is a personal invitation for affection. But at night, on their walks, Jake notices. The head a little higher, the eyes moving carefully through the dark. Tiger is not a guard dog. He never was, and Jake would never want him to be. But there is a difference between a dog with no instinct and a dog who simply chooses when to use it. Some dogs protect you every moment of every day. Others wait for the one moment that actually matters, and when it comes, they don't hesitate for a single second. If you're thinking about giving a so-called dangerous breed a second chance, please don't let a label make that decision for you. Talk to the people who know them, spend time with them, because the dog the world wrote off might be exactly the one you need. Is this protective instinct, or is it something deeper than instinct? Tell me in the comments.